Hey guys, how are you doing today? And welcome back to another video. Today we are doing something different today. We are doing a thread. Now, if you guys don't know what a thread is basically a chain of videos that different channels do. They're all on the same topic, but it's basically the same kind of video, but different channels do it. And this thread was started by Dan from Cassette Mayhem, who I like to give a big shout out to. Dan from Cassette Mayhem, if you don't know him, you should really check him out. He's an awesome guy, big metalhead. He loves all genres of metal. He loves traditional metal, thrash, death, glam, hair, everything. He loves old metal. He loves new metal. He loves everything. Huge collection he has. And if you don't know who he is, check him out. Give him a like. Give him a sub. Help him get to 200 subscribers, okay? Alright, and he started this thread with his top 5 go-to albums. And he wanted to start this thread, so I decided might as well pass it on, and hopefully you guys can do the same thing as well. Show your top 5 go-to albums. And I picked 5 albums in my collection and stuff. And now these 5 albums aren't really go-to albums. I don't necessarily have go-to albums because the way I listen to music is different to how Dan listens to music. In his video, Dan explained how his top 5 go-to albums were albums that he listens to, twice a month or something like that. With me, I do different stuff. Since I'm young and stuff, I don't listen to this. I listen to I try to get into new bands every couple of months and stuff. So I'm always listening to new bands I never heard before every couple of months. And sometimes the bands I do know, I listen to a lot. So basically, to put a long story short, Dan listens to different albums every day, while for me, I'm different. Basically, I could listen to a different album every single day during a month. Sometimes I could listen to an entire album for a week or 2 weeks if I love it that much. And I could listen to only one band's discography for an entire month sometimes as well. So I'm pretty much all around when I'm listening to metal music. But I decided to pick 5 albums I listen to that I generally prefer to listen to most of the time and stuff. Not necessarily go-to albums, but albums I just love to listen to get into a good mood, basically. And without further ado, let's get this started. We're gonna start this list off, and this list is not ordered. I think they're all equally great, so none of them is better than the other. All of them are perfect. So without further ado, let's get this started with Judas Priest's Defenders of the Faith. Now, Defenders of the Faith is known from many Judas Priest fans as another classic from the 80s, but an album that I don't really see a lot of people on YouTube claim it's their best. And the thing about me is, this is my favorite Judas Priest album of all time. Now I'm sure some people could probably argue with me by saying, British Steel is better, Screaming for Vengeance is better, Stained Glass is better, or Painkiller is better. Yeah, and I love those albums as well. I just think this is their best work. I'm not bashing the other albums because I think they're awesome as well. I just love this album a little bit more than the others. And if you disagree, then that's okay, because I'm okay with your opinion. But back to this album, love the production on this. A bit darker, more echoey sounding, or reverb sounding, how you put it, than Screaming for Vengeance, and it's great. Every song on here rules, like classic Free Will Burning, Jawbreaker, one of the greatest Judas Priest songs ever, The Sentinel, Love Bites is a classic. Eat Me Alive, very controversial song with the PMRC, but I love it. Awesome riff. Some Heads Are Gonna Roll is my favorite Judas Priest song of all time. Night Comes Down is a beautiful ballad, and I'm not too big of a fan of the last two tracks because they're kind of disjointed, but Heavy Duty is alright, and Defenders of Faith is kind of pointless a little bit, but I still think it's good. So yeah, that's where I start my list off with, is Judas Priest, Defenders of the Faith. Alright, next up is another album from a band I really love, and this is Wasp's first album. This is like a 2018 Map History pressing, and this is once again another perfect album from 1984. I love Blackie Lawless's voice. I think his voice is very unique and like it's very recognizable. Like if you didn't know Wasp was playing and stuff, like let's just say you heard like a Wasp song on like a metal radio station or something like that, and you didn't know Wasp was playing, and all you heard was just the opening riff. Once you hear Blackie's voice, you can recognize it's him, and it's Wasp, because his voice is so unique and awesome. And this is just a perfect album. Every song rules. I'm not burnt down on anything on here, and the production I hear is great as well. Very crunchy and stuff. Not completely crunchy, but crunchy compared to the other hair metal stuff that was coming out at this time. Not bashing the other hair metal bands, because I love hair metal from 83 and 84, like Quiet Riot, Twisted Sister, Dokken, and stuff like that, and Rat. But Wasp just had like a dirty, raw, gritty sound to their music, and that's why I love them so much. Like just to start off with a very controversial Animal, but it's a classic. I actually like it more live, especially because the reason why I like it live more is because Chris Holmes does like an extended guitar solo. Because if you listen to the guitar solo on Animal, it's kind of short, but if you listen to like a good example is the Lyceum show from '84. He does like a little extended guitar solo, and it sounds really cool on there. But once again, yeah, Animal's a classic. I Want to Be Somebody and Love Machine is a classic. BAD is a really cool song. School Days is awesome with the kids at the beginning reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, and that heads into that riff. Hellion is one of the best songs on here, probably my third favorite track on here. Sleeping in a Fire is a beautiful ballad, although excuse me, sorry about that. I do prefer Sleeping in the Fire on Live in the Raw more a little bit, but the studio version is awesome as well. On Your Knees is a great song as well. They used to open their shows with that song back in the day. And Tormentor, that's my favorite Wasp song of all time. Yep, some of you might be surprised, some of you might be not. I know some of you out there, your favorite Wasp song of all time is probably the Hellion or Sleeping in the Fire, but Tormentor is my favorite Wasp song of all time, and if you agree, type that down in the comments, because I know I'm not alone with that. And then the album ends with The Torture Never Stops. Once again, another crushing song, my second favorite track on the album as well. And the bonus tracks in here, the B-sides are really cool as well. Show No Mercy and the cover Painted Black is pretty cool as well. So yep, that's my other go-to album, Wasp, the first album, classic. Alright, this next one that we have up here is actually an album that Dan had in his video and stuff, and I can't agree more that this album is really awesome. It puts you in a good mood whenever I listen to it. And this is Queensryche, Operation Mindcrime. I love Queensryche. Queensryche is probably one of the best bands to ever exist. Once again, they have such a unique sound. They kind of like in their early days, like on the EP, they sound more like a mixture of Judas Priest and Iron Maiden. But as they continue on, they got every single album they sounded different, because the EP was straightforward metal, while the Warning was more proggy. Rage for Order, which is an awesome album, was also proggy, but also digital sounding and experimental, very unique for its time. And then when this came out, they went more back to a more straight up metal sound, but they but they went to there's still prog on the sound, but it's like, not like prog you expect from Iron Man and Judas Priest. Once again, unique prog with an awesome story with Operation Mindcrime. Now, this is my favorite concept album of all time. Now, sure, I could argue and stuff because I don't really own a lot of concept albums. Let me think off the top of my head. I've listened to Music from the Elder from Kiss. I love that album. Crimson Idol from Wasp, which is a really good album. This one, if you could count it, maybe Seven Son from Iron Man, but that's mostly loosely based and stuff. But I think that's it. unless I gotta go through my collection again, and maybe I have another concept album in there. But that's all the concept albums I can remember off the top of my head that I've owned and listened to. And this is at the top. Not bashing Crimson Isle and The Elder, because those are great albums, but I just like this one more. And this album, I wouldn't recommend it to get someone into Queensryche. I would recommend that to either Empire or what's it called, the EP. But I would show this to them right after, if you're trying to get someone into Queensryche, you show them Empire or the EP, and then you show them this if they like Empire or the EP. Every song on here is great. Well, I remember now it's just like a little talking thing. And Anarchy X, great instrumental, and I actually have a cool thing about that song or instrumental. I like listening to a lot of bootlegs. I don't know if you guys like to, but on YouTube I like looking at bootlegs and stuff. And I was listening to this bootleg from the Rage for Order tour. It was like Queensryche live in Holland, 1986 during Rage for Order, and I'm listening to it, and all of a sudden the song pops up called Rage for Order. I'm like, wait, what's this? And then I realized this was in '86, and it was Anarchy X. It was originally called Rage for Order. It was the same exact song, except the band would just say Rage, Rage here and there during the instrumental. And I thought it was pretty cool because even 2 years before this album came out, they already were thinking material and riffs for it, which is pretty cool and stuff. But back to the songs here. Revolution Calling is awesome. Operation Mindcrime is really cool. Speak is a fast one. I love that song. The Mission is really cool. The Spraying the Disease is awesome as well. I actually like Spraying the Disease a little bit more than The Mission. The epic Sweet Sister Mary. The Needle Lies is pretty good. Breaking the Silence is a good precursor to the classic I Don't Believe in Love. I love that song. And Eyes of a Stranger. That's the song that got me into Queensryche. I was listening to Hair Nation one day, and I wasn't really paying attention to the radio that much. I was doing something, I kind of forget, and all of a sudden I hear, ding, 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 ding. I'm like, wait, what's that? And then I looked at the radio, and I saw Queensryche, Eyes of a Stranger. I'm like, dang, what is this? And it was unfortunately, it was towards the end of it, so I couldn't really experience the chorus and stuff, but it was like towards the end, and I'm like, dang, that sounded cool. And then I looked up the song on YouTube, listened to the entire song, and became an instant fan. But yeah, Queensryche Operation Mindcrime is part of my top 5 go-to albums list, and let's move on. Also, hold on a second. If you want to know what the story is, I'm not going to tell you because it'll take up time, and also I don't want to spoil it for you guys. If you want to know the story, buy the album and listen to it. If you still don't get the story, look this album up on Wikipedia. That's how I learned the story. Now we have 2 albums left here. This next one, which I don't really see that many people talk about as one of the greatest live albums ever. And it's a shame because this album is very underrated in my opinion. And this is Ozzy Osbourne's Randy Rhoads tribute. I love this live album. Yeah, I know it's a live album, it's not a studio album, but I don't care. This is my favorite Ozzy Osbourne release ever. My uncle has this CD, and when I was about, I don't know, maybe 11 or 12 years old, he let me borrow it, and back then, I was scared of Ozzy, because I've heard all the stories about biting the head off the bat and stuff, and him being demonic and stuff, biting the head off the dove and stuff, and my mom was like, you better not get into that stuff, and I was like scared, and I don't know, me being like, not wanting to listen to my mom sometimes here and there, I borrowed the CD and became an instant fan. First song I heard on here was I Don't Know, and it blew my mind. It blew my mind. And this has got to be the greatest live album of all time. That's right, I said it. This is the greatest live album of all time. Yeah, I know you people are probably going crazy out there going, what? How could you say that? Live After Death is better. Kiss Alive 2 is better. This and that. Whatever and stuff. Yeah, I'm sorry, but I say this is the greatest live album of all time. And also, if you're wondering what's up with my CD case, I ended up buying this at a CD store later on, and the CD was fine, but the case was just in terrible condition, so I decided to take out that disc and put it into a new clear case, and I decided to put a cool picture here of Randy and Ozzy, if you can make that out. But yeah, once again, back to this. Every single song rules on here. All of this stuff is classic material, and I prefer most of these songs. I actually prefer the live versions and the studio versions. Once again, it was my introduction to Ozzy, so what do you expect? It's all about timing, because when you first hear something for the very first time, especially when it comes to live albums, if you hear a live album before the actual studio recordings and stuff, you're gonna love the live album first, the live versions first. And that's why I love all the live versions more than the studio versions. Not bashing the studio versions, which are classic and I just love these more. But yeah, classic show from 1981. I think this was recorded in Chicago of 1981. From I Don't Know to Paranoid was all recorded in Chicago in 81. And then the last three tracks, No Bone Movies, Goodbye to Romance, and wait, let me see. Yeah, No Bone Movies and Goodbye to Romance were recorded in England. I don't know where in England, but in England in 1980 from my research. And the last track on here is basically Randy just, messing around in the studio, coming up with playing D. And I thought it was pretty cool that they put that in there. And they put some effects on his voice to make him sound like a ghost and stuff. Like echoey and stuff, but yeah. Comment down below if you guys like this album, because I love this album, this live album. Let me know in the comments, okay? Okay, now it's time for the last album I have here for my go-to albums. This has got to be one of the greatest things I've ever heard in my life, along with this and this. Well, actually, technically, all these albums I've showed so far are one of the greatest, are part of one of the greatest albums I've ever heard in my life, but this is high up there. This has got to be my top 5, if not top 3, my favorite albums of all time. This and this. Somewhere in Time from Iron Man. This is my one of my favorite albums of all time. Seriously. And you might be surprised. Wait, what? How is Somewhere in Time your favorite album? And you guys might be even more surprised that this was not even my first ever Iron Man album I ever heard. My first ever excuse me. I'm sorry about that. The first ever Iron Man album I've ever heard in my life was actually the first album. And then I worked my way up. It's just that something clicked with me here. I love all the other 80s Iron Man albums. Heck, I love No Prayer for the Dying, Fear of the Dark, and X Factor. But we're not talking about those albums right now. We're talking about this. And this one just grabbed me, man, on first listen. And I love this album. The production on here is amazing. The bass is louder on this album. The drums are more pounding and vicious. The guitars are more melodic and cutthroat. And Bruce's vocals on here are very great as well. And this album cover as well. This has got to be my favorite Iron Man album cover of all time. The Cyborg Eddie. And when listening to the album, it makes me feel like I'm in this futuristic city. Because the keyboards on here, not the keyboards, the synthesizers, the guitar synthesizers on here sound great, and every single song rules. I can't pick a favorite track on here. Every single song is like 100 out of 10. I'm not kidding. I love every single song on here. Every single song rules. But if I had to pick, like, you know, what's my favorite out of the top 3, like the ones I think are at the top 3, then fine. Caught Somewhere in Time, Wasted Years, and Stranger in a Strange Land. But yeah, it just makes, like, whenever I hear this album, it makes me feel like I'm in this futuristic city with Eddie and stuff in the band, and it kind of has, like, what's it called? It kind of fits that whole 80s craze, because back then people were, like, you know, into, like, what's gonna happen in the future and stuff. People came up with, like, conceptions of, like, what the future will look like and stuff back then. And this album cover is like that, and the music fits it perfectly. And it makes me feel, even though I wasn't around back then, it makes me feel like I'm in the 80s, wondering how the future would look like and stuff. And I know that's cheesy and stuff, but I just can't get enough of this album. I've been listening to this album actually non-stop for 2 weeks. I still have the record on my turntable right now. But yeah, that's it, guys. That's my top 5 favorite go-to albums for this video. Once again, check out Dan from Cassette Mayhem. Give him a subscription. You won't regret it. He always delivers great stuff on there. Once again, thank you for watching. Thank you so much for 52 subscribers. I can't believe it. I made it over 50 subscribers. Thank you so much, guys. I can't thank you enough. I'm very grateful. Thank you. Comment what you think on this video and stuff, and I wish you all a great day, and I will see you guys later. Peace.